Yeah, it's an interesting week because I suppose while all the interest was on the bottom of the table for the last month, all of a sudden you have your European place up for grabs because Bohemians have put themselves in a fantastic position, and so obviously they have a real opportunity. They feel if they can beat us, it's a very difficult game for Pats down in Galway. So it's but from my point of view, it's great because again, it's another huge competitive game. Maybe after the cup semi-final, there was a feeling that we were waiting for the final, and some of our performances looked as if we hadn't got the intensity that we had for most of the season. But thankfully, we've had Pats last week, massive game, massive win, very high energy game. We had Dundalk Friday night, and we go into Bohs who are fighting for their lives, need to win, and again a huge intensity game the week before the cup final, exactly what you want.
Yeah, it keeps the pressure up, doesn't it? And it keeps the intensity, as you said yourself.
It does, and no matter what, you cannot, I keep saying, you will not be able to just switch on a light and just turn up and think you can go up to that level after maybe underperforming for 3 or 4 weeks or not training that hard. You can't do that. So that's why last week was absolutely fantastic for us. Training has been really good, and the intensity has been at the highest level, and that's what you need. And you saw the match last Friday night. That's the type of match it's going to be in the Aviva, and that's why Friday night's game is also going to be like that. And you can't beat that type of preparation before you go into a cup final.
It was a great game of football as well last Friday night, but after 25 minutes, a lot of people were beginning to look doubtful. Did the thought cross your mind yourself?
Well, it was difficult, don't get me wrong. I suppose it was a scenario where I expected Stephen to have his full team. We had a few knocks, but still at the same time we still had players who've all played. They're all first team players. They've all played all season and last season, so there was no excuses there. But definitely, for the first 10-15 minutes, we were on the back foot, and you go a goal behind, and then you go 2 goals down. It is difficult, but to be fair to the lads, they just dug in and got close to the action, got their intensity up, and I suppose when we came back to 2-1, then you could see it was going to be a cracker of a game. And looking at the second half, I think if you weigh up the chances, we possibly could have won the match in the end, but we certainly had 2 penalty appeals. Not so sure about one. The other one, I think, could have certainly been given. Obviously, Marky's chance at the end, but at the same time, I think it was a real high tempo game. Both teams going at it. Lots of chances, and I suppose that's what you expected at the top level of Premier football.
I know you're concentrating on the Bohs game because a result has to be got there.
Yeah.
But with the cup final in mind the following week, I presume guys will have to be included this week if they're going to be considered the cup final.
Absolutely. I told the lads all week, that the lads who played against Pats, the lads who played against Dundalk, the lads who are back training this week. Absolutely, players have to play. I've never been more convinced that you need to be training at the highest intensity, highest tempo. You need to be playing those type of matches, because when you're prepared for that and you're used to that, it comes naturally. You switch off for 2 or 3 weeks, you just can't get up to that level that quickly. And that's why Friday is again fantastic opportunity, for the players. But great that the game is going to be so competitive and that Bohs have to win. And but for us, it's a big game and we need everyone available.
And on that injury front, we know John Cavan is out for the rest of the season. Hopefully we'll be back for the start of next year. Injuries otherwise, people like Colin making progress. Colin making progress.
Danny Morrissey making progress. Gary Buckley making progress. Darren Dennehy. The lads that were all out last weekend are all back. I suppose the biggest, Gavin's making progress. I suppose the biggest one is that Colin has just been out for so long. But all the rest of the boys have all been in action in the last number of weeks anyway. So I'm expecting, at the moment we seem to have not a clean bill of health, but we certainly seem that all these guys are going to be available for Friday night. And we need so, because to be fair, Keith has done a fantastic job at Bohs, and he's he, as I said, they're fifth in the table, opportunity to qualify for Europe. He's done exceptionally well. Really good players. Obviously they brought Akinad in this year, who's really done well, and across the back, our old friend Davy Mulcahy Prendergast, Anto Murphy, Lopez, Keith Buckley, a lot of players, Dean Delaney go, a lot of experience, but a lot of youth in their team, and they're on a tremendous run at the moment as well, obviously after winning in Derry last week, beating Pats the week before. So we know it's difficult, but it's the ideal match a week before the cup final.
They've surprised a lot of people, haven't they, boys, this season?
Well, they haven't really surprised me, because I rate a lot of their players. I think they're, as I said to you before, a lot of their players they're all part-time, they all work. So they're, I suppose, they're players who don't want to give up their full-time, daytime jobs to go full-time football, because we all know how difficult it is in this country. So they're top players who work, have normal jobs, and I suppose, is football not a normal job, but they have normal jobs. But I suppose, and then they train 4 nights a week, and Keith is assembling the best of in the country, and they've done fantastic. And who knows, they think they could be in Europe on Friday night. Obviously it's up to us to make sure that we can we just box off second position.
Sean, did you learn much from the game of Friday night that will help you plan your approach for the cup final, or is there danger just reading too much into the league game?
Yeah, it's a good question, Rory. I suppose the scenario is that I think that you certainly learn things, and I suppose there was areas that they caused us problems, and there was areas that we caused them problems. So while the cup final will be a totally different event and a different game, I think there are certain patterns and certain styles of play, and that always show up week in, week out. So I think from that point of view, it was a learning experience for both of us.
Just ahead of next season as well, is the process of signing players up for next season started, or are you kind of waiting till after the cup final to start signing players down? Bit of both. Some guys committed early a number of months ago. Some guys were already on 2-year deals. Some guys already committed, as I said, and quite a few guys at the moment have indicated they want to stay, but they decided we'll wait till after the cup final. They just don't want to be distracted, which is fine. So there's a bit of everything, really. Yeah. Were the possibility of losing a couple of players there?
Well, that'll always happen, and I suppose in any club, every year you're always in a scenario where you lose some players and you'll gain some players, and I suppose from our point of view, to be fair, we haven't been as consistent in the league as we were last year. So I think it's quite obvious from the outside that we need to make some changes as well, and certainly from a defensive point of view, we've been similar to where we were last year. From an attacking point of view and a goal scoring point of view, we have scored more than we did last year, but not enough. And I suppose there are areas that we need to address as well.
Last game of the season, and a result needed still.
Yeah, hasn't turned out as we planned, but second is still there to play for, and we plan on getting second. So if we beat Bows, we have it secured, and that's what we're going to try and do.
John made a point as well. It's good to have a tough match
the
week before the cup final.
Yeah, that's true. I suppose it keeps us tuned in, and we can't slacken off. And we're preparing this week as hard as we've done all season. So I suppose in that sense it's good, because we'll be going into the week of the cup final full throttle. So it's good that way.
I presume everybody's 110% fit and as enthusiastic this week, because you need to be playing this week if you want to get into the cup final squad.
Exactly. Even if people have knocks, they're not even saying it at this stage. Everybody's training as hard as they can. Everybody wants to be in the 11 for the cup final. So training is as tough and as competitive as always, and it's good.
And your own season, you John Cavan was established until he got an injury, and you've come in and really nailed down the place yourself, haven't you?
It's just, I suppose you have to hang in there and train until you get your chance, and then when it does come along, you have to take it. Thankfully, I've done okay, and John has kept the faith in me and played me most weeks. So, doesn't mean that I'm going to start the cup final. Doesn't mean that I'm going to start Friday.
Right.
So, hopefully, if I start Friday, I put in a good shift, and it's up to John then to choose me for the cup final.
And I know the club don't like to make excuses, but there's been a lot of injuries this season, and there's been a lot of changes, and fellas like yourself and Kevin O'Connor have put your hands up and said we can do a job, and have done it.
Yeah, injuries are all part and parcel of it. we've, I suppose, just been unlucky with the number of injuries we've got this year, and I suppose it's a credit to the club that we've such a big squad, and we do have quality players like Kevin to come in and fill a gap and perform as well as the others. So it's good that way. It's a good sign for the club that they have a big squad.
I'd imagine after the draw on Friday and the manner in which you played the last hour of the game against Dundalk has given you a lot of confidence heading into the cup final.
Yeah, it was going 2 down is in any game is tough, especially against the league champions. But we kind of recomposed ourselves and got back to the way we know we can play, and we put it up to them. And I suppose we had chances in the second half that we could have went on and won the game. So we'll be going into the cup final full of confidence, and we'll definitely give them a game.
And putting up to them is the right phrase, because the first half now you kind of sat back and showed them maybe a little bit too much respect, and when you went at them they looked almost like an ordinary side, so that's kind of the key for the cup final. Yeah,
exactly. I suppose if you give any player time and space, they're going to look good, especially when it is a quality side like Dundalk. And we, like you said, we did close them down. Pity we didn't do it from the start, I suppose, but that's the way games go. But from the first second of the cup final, we'll be looking to close them down and be snapping at their heels, not leave them get on it, and hopefully that'll go in our favour.